welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be filming my what are macros, how to calculate your macros, and how to track your macros. So first of all, what are macros? Well, macros are short for macronutrients, and the macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbs. Now, how to calculate your macros? Well, first of all, there's a couple different steps you need to go through. So first, you need to get your BMR. Your BMR is your basic metabolic rate. Basically, your basic metabolic rate is how many calories you burn per day if you were just to lay in bed all day and do nothing. To get your BMR, you have to go online. It's bmr/calculator.net, but I'll link it down below, and you get that number. And then the second step is to multiply that number by 4 different numbers depending on your activity level. So the first number is 1.2. Now, if you use 1.2, that's if you're very, very lightly active. If you don't really work out and you have a very lightly active job. I wouldn't really recommend using that. I really wouldn't recommend macro counting if that's really the numbers that you would have. So the second number is 1.375. That's more if you're lightly active, maybe 3 times a week in the gym, if you have a lightly active job, that kind of thing. So the next one is 1.55. That's if you're moderately active. That's 3 to 5 times a week at the gym, and if you have a more moderately active job. The last number is 1.725. This is for the extremely active. This is 6 to 7 times every day in the gym. Very, very extremely active job. Now for me, I work out about 5 to 6 times a week, and I'm a nurse. So I go in between those last two. So I'll just go 1.6. I've always done that. I wasn't really sure which one to use, so I just kind of went in the middle, and it's always worked for me, so I just used 1.6 for me. When you get that number, that's called your TDEE. That's how many calories you burn per day, every day. You take that number, and you, depending on your goals, if you want to maintain your weight, you eat that number of calories. If you want to lose weight, you eat less than that. If you want to gain weight or bulk, you eat more than that. So now, if you want to lose weight or cut, you take that number and you multiply it by a certain amount of percentages. There's 15%, 20%, or 25%, depending on which. If you want to slowly cut, which is what I would recommend, you do 15%. A moderate cut, which is you're going to drop weight rather quickly, 20%, or even quicker than that, 25%. Or you can just maintain your weight, or you can bulk. So if you take your TDEE, that calorie amount, if you want to add on mass or add on size or muscle, you take it and you do the same 15, 20, and 25%, except you would add that amount of calories you would get from that instead of subtracting from like you would do for cutting. That's how many calories per day that you have to work with. So what you do is you take, it's just gonna just work, just listen and work with me for a minute. I'm going to go over everything on a sheet of paper and film that for you so it's more easy to understand, but I'm just gonna kind of do an overview right now. So your proteins, how many proteins you're supposed to eat per day, is 1 gram per body weight. So I am at 133 pounds. I eat 133 grams of protein per day right now. You take that amount, so 133, and multiply that by 4, and I subtract, because protein is 4 calories per gram. So you multiply 133 by 4, and whatever calories you get, you subtract that from your daily calories that you have in front of you. And then from there, you get your fats. You take that number, and fats are 9 calories per gram. So you take that amount left, multiply it by either 0.35 or 0.4, depending on how many, how your body responds to fat or how many fats you like per day. I always just do 0.4 because I like fats. So you take 0.4, multiply it by that amount of calories left, and you get a number. You divide that by 9. That's how many grams of fat you eat per day. And then whatever's left in their calories, so you take the calories from your protein, subtract that from your TDEE, and then you take your calories from your fat, subtract that number, and you're left with a number, and that's how you get your carbs from. So that number, and you divide it by 4, because carbs are 4 calories per gram, and that's how many grams of carbs you eat per day. Like I said, I'm going to show this all out to you on a piece of paper, so it's a little easier to understand. you how to calculate your macros. So this is my BMR, 1412. That's how many calories I burn per day if I just laid in bed all day. Now, I'm going to take 1412, if you can see my phone here, 1412, I'm going to multiply that by the 1.6, like I told you, for my activity level, and that's 2259. That's how many calories I burn per day, just basic. So 2259. That's how many calories I burn per day at work, working out, at the gym, whatever. That's how many calories I would need to eat to maintain my weight. Now, you take that amount of calories, and like I said, if you want to cut, which is what I'm doing now, you would multiply that by 0.15. That's 15%. That's 338. That's the amount of calories deficit that I need to slowly start to lose weight. So you take the 2259 minus 338, and you get 1921. That's how many calories I would eat per day to slowly start to lose weight there, okay? Now you can also do like the 20%, so I'll show you. 2259 times 20% is 451. So you take 229.59 or 220.59 minus 441, or you could eat 18 calories per day for a more extreme cut. Now, when I started, I was about this, and then once I hit my plateau, I moved to something like this. And once I hit that plateau, I moved to something else lower. And you just slowly lower carbs per day. Now, granted, I am in a prep. You don't really need to do that if you're just trying to lose weight overall. Now, so we're going to go with 1921. So, like I said, my body weight is 133 pounds. You need 1 gram of protein per body weight. So that's 133 grams of protein per day that I eat. Protein is 4 calories per gram. So you take 133, multiply that by 4. It's 532 calories in protein. Take your 1,921 calories per day, and you subtract the 532 grams. So that's 1,389 calories left to fill with fats and carbs. So you take 1,389 and you multiply that by between 0.35 and 0.4, depending on how many fats you need per day. And you get 559 or 555 calories of fats. Now, like I said, fat calories are 9 per gram. So you divide that by 9, that's 61.7. So we're just going to round up to 62 grams of fat per day. Okay, so far we're at 133 protein and 62 grams of fat. So now we're going to take carbs left from this. So you take 1,921 calories, you subtract the 532 calories of the protein, and you subtract 555 calories from the fat, you get 834. So that's how many calories we have left to fill with carbs. Carbs are 4 calories per gram. You divide them by 4. That's 208 or 209, I'm going to round up, 209 carbs per day. This is how you macro count. I know you're probably thinking, that seems like a lot of work, that's a lot of time. Now, granted, at first it might be a little difficult to get used to, but once you get used to it, you're pretty much, it's second nature to you. Now, before I did macro counting, I mainly calorie counted, and I did clean eating, and it did not work for me. My body didn't like it. I was deprived of food. I would binge eat all the time. It just was not okay. I gained more weight on my rebound from clean eating than anything. I got lucky when I found flexible dieting and If It Fits Your Macros. I found it through YouTube. I was searching for something, and it popped up. And the girl who I found out from is called Nikki Blackketter. I'll link her channel below, along with some others that I watch. There's a lot of good YouTube, a lot of good sources out there. Okay, so here I'm going to show you how I track my macros. This is the app, My Macros Plus.
It looks just like this. This is today. I'll show you yesterday because yesterday has a better idea. So here's my meal 1 that I always eat. Meal 2. Meal 3. Meal 4. Meal 5. Meal 6. Yes, I had Lucky Charms. This is how you do it here. Frequent. You can go by what you eat frequently. For somebody like me who eats pretty much the same thing all the time, that's awesome. Recent, you can barcode scan things here. And it's got a big database, so a lot of things are already in there. You can search for stuff, which I just typically go, if it doesn't pull up on the barcode, I just go to Google and look up like things like strawberries and watermelons. So yeah. This is the app. It's very user-friendly once you get used to it. This tells you how many macros you had left for the day. As you can see, I hit them pretty good yesterday. And today, we're going for sushi, so that's the first thing I tracked. I tracked it yesterday, and I just worked my day around that. Because as you can see, it's got like 80 grams of carbs, 15 fat, 18 protein. So I just entered that first, and then worked my day around it. I still had my same breakfast this morning. I plan on having some like chicken and green beans later, and of course my oats, my protein oats. So, yep, that's how I track mine.